I'm constantly posting about my disabled revolution, dramaticallydisabled.com. And I made a Discord, which is hard to give an invite link because they only last for 7 days. So I will put one in the description here. And if you're like, oh gee, where is it? It's not working anymore. I don't know if they're searchable, but it's dramatically disabled on there. Um, I will try to keep an up to date link on the website, so join there if you wish. Anyways, so I posted about this, the Discord, on all my social media sites. And someone on Tumblr replied, and I'm going to omit their username because maybe they're just spoiled and dumb. I don't know. They made this really ghastly comment and then they haven't had the balls to reply to me yet. So, I mean, they could say they're sorry they didn't realize or something, but they haven't said that yet. So, anyways, the comment was to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing, Americans are not grateful. This person was adopted at around birth from Ukraine and claims to be disabled. That's why they were adopted. And they did not give an age. And I mean, you presume they're over 15 if they're on Tumblr. They're either 15 or 30. There's like no in between. And they're like, oh, it'd be much worse if you were in a country like that. Nobody's grateful anymore for anything. It's like, okay, well, one, I'm going to make some presumptions. I could be wrong. But regardless if you were adopted in the 80s or 15 years ago, which, oh God, that hurts. Let's see, that was 14 minus 5. Oh God, math hurts. 2009. There was probably some conflicts going on because Russia is greedy as fuck. And if you were adopted internationally into the United States, you were probably adopted by a well to do couple because that's the only way you can do that. Even back then, it cost a lot of money. And you can't just do these, like, usually they're private adoptions, i.e., not through the government. And they tend to skew religious and Republican-y types, which is, ugh. So, okay, this person, I don't know their disability, but they were adopted at birth from Ukraine with some kind of disability that resulted in their parents needing to give them up for adoption, which is sad. They were adopted into the US and whatever they had was treated. And now they're going, how dare you, American? It'd be so much worse if you were in Ukraine. So that is a big old Republican talking point, I know, because I used to get this shit all the time from my grandparents and I'm very used to it. So I'm really good at answering that. The answer is fuck you. You see, I'm not going to argue about Ukraine. One, I don't know all the history of it, so that would be gauche. And two, right now, Ukraine's fighting for its life. Of course, if I lived there, I'd be fucked as a disabled person. I'm sure medicine can't get in easily. That doesn't mean it's Ukraine's fault. But okay, so now you're an American. You live in America. If this person is under 26, maybe it hasn't hit them yet. If they're older, they should know better because in America, your healthcare is tied to employment, and even then, it's not terribly good. If you're a blue collar person and you can't get a union, which they went from 80% in the 80s to 20% recently, then you're not going to get good insurance. I know because I grew up with these people. So I have 80-year-old grandparents who have Medicare and they still are afraid to go to the doctor because they didn't grow up with insurance. And if you're blessed to be young enough that the 26-year-old thing hit you, I was 27 when it became law, so, and I'd been off my parents' insurance since I was 19 because that's how it used to be. In fact, they had to fight for that even. That's when the first signs of rheumatoid arthritis showed up. So, what happens when you're too disabled to work? Because that's how our healthcare is tied. And even while I support my English speakers in England, Canada, and Australia because they have their own Sacher rocks, they still have it better than we do by far. For instance, Even in Canada, you can save $10,000 instead of 2,000 here, and you can make $2,000 a month. We can only make 80 before you lose your benefits. And in fact, when I explained this to a Canadian who said their disabled mother-in-law got by doing this, they're like, yeah. So then the worst part is the whole setup. Say becoming federally disabled, SSI or SSDI, in most cases SSI, the PORS, is very hard. It usually takes tries several years, and in the meantime, you cannot work or work well. You may very well have children. You may be responsible for everything. You may be homeless. I've had several homeless people comment on my post before about how they didn't even think they could get disability despite being disabled. So, I'm going to be honest, maybe I'm incorrect, but I really think that user is somebody who's never had any of these problems. I don't know their disability, but it was either solved by the rich parents or they've had enough support and money that they've never had to do any of this. There are disabled people in the world who they have enough money from family and they're all right. I've seen them comment before. And they constantly say they're terrified what will happen either when the money runs out or their parents die. So, yeah, this is not a good system, especially given the only correct way you can afford to live on the pittance of $900. Good luck even getting that. I get $933, but most people don't, is live in somewhere like Portugal or Mexico, both of which require $4,000 to move and a month. And by the way, you will lose your SSI after a month of leaving the country. So if you take a 2-month trip, or to quote people on Reddit, if you're disabled on SSI, you shouldn't be traveling the world. Bitch, I'm disabled, not a werewolf. I will do what I want. Thank you very much. So, I usually block trolls like this, but I left it open because I hope they actually didn't block me and read it. Because, well, there's not a lot of those people. There's enough that it's something we need to get their attention. That, for us, doesn't matter if it's Ukraine or America, you got very little. I mean, do you know what my honest to God Christ plan is once my grandparents die? If I can't afford an RV, which by the way, looking at them, I would have to kiss the limit of my ability to save, and I'd have to buy something decrepit to slowly fix up over the years, which is fun with disability. It's living in my car. Because currently 2 sisters are in apartments. One may be buying a house soon. She's the only one with a trust fund. Very special. Better father than ours. One has a house, but it's very small. And I don't want to live where it's at. So, and like, if she invited me today, the only space for me would be an unfinished basement. When sister number 3 stayed with her, she slept on the couch. I can't do that. So, yeah, that's not a good system. How the hell is that better than Ukraine just because I can get my medicines maybe if I'm homeless? That's not a first world country. Thank you very much.